Cinema 5D Stage at Photo and Adventure is brought to you by
Blackmagic Design, creating amazing solutions for film, post-production, and television.
Rotolight, advanced LED lighting, and Canon. Live for the story.
Welcome to the Cinema 5D Film and Video Stage from Photo and Adventure 2019. We have a very unusual presentation now. So Christoph Tilley here is a DOP based in Vienna. And yeah, it's a self-reflectory kind of piece on how you bought an expensive camera and thought you are a DP.
Yeah, exactly. That's my title.
I'll just leave the stage to you.
Thanks. So, yeah, I bought an expensive camera and now I'm a DP. So of course this is a very exaggerated title and it's meant to be funny, of course. The title could also be like, can owning an expensive camera get you work? And that's something I think everyone who invests into camera is something he thinks about. And the answer is no, it couldn't. And yes. So my story is like buying an expensive camera, expensive gear, brought me from this, 2001, I think. So like was 17 years old back in then, to this. And this is me shooting a big TVC commercial this year in Cape Town, with Panavision gear, and when I scroll back, when I was this, I dreamt about being this sometime, and eventually it worked out. So, but it isn't simple as that. It's rather complex. When I shot in Cape Town this year, they have a very big film industry. They told me, and I told them my story about how I got from a little boy shooting with a mini DV camera to shooting Panavision gear and like, having on set 120 people shooting big commercials in Cape Town. They told me a joke. They asked, what's the difference between God and a DP? Somebody knows that joke here? Somebody knows that joke? What's the difference between God and a DP? God doesn't think he's a DP. So mainly that's the point about most of the DPs just are DPs because they think they're DPs. So grab a camera and you might be a DP. So I'm a DP. And this is my story. I founded my production company back 2003 just because I wanted to work and I wanted to shoot and do stuff. And in the course of the past 16 years, I run this company now and I shoot and I DP. I learned 5 things. First, owning a camera will give you the opportunity to improve your skills on a daily basis. So when you have a camera, you can improve your work by working with the camera. And if you own it, you can do it all the time. So just grab it, having nice light outside, nice sunset, grab the camera, shoot. Your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, something, just shoot. When you have a camera, you can improve on it. So remember, that was me, 2001, with the camera from my dad, just being on a school excursion, filming stuff, and I learned that I can achieve something by filming something. In that case, it was homework. I didn't have to do homework because I filmed something, so I achieved something, and I learned that I can do something by filming something. So I bought an more expensive camera, 2004, I think. Then, of course, I naturally evolved into buying better and more expensive cameras, shooting all the time, doing little jobs, 1,000, 2,000 euros, and investing all I earned into new gear. So eventually I came into that DSLR thing, like most of the DPs did, like building expensive, crazy rigs around that small camera, trying to make a real camera out of it. And then over the Sony F3. But I always was unhappy with the stuff I shot. So I wanted to shoot the best images. That's why I bought the best camera. It was like I saw all these TV commercials, I saw all these movies, and I thought, this stuff doesn't look like the stuff I'm shooting, so there must be a difference. So what I did is like, I thought it needs to be a better camera. So eventually, I thought I wanted to shoot the best images, that's why I bought the best camera. Lol. It wasn't like this. It's like a better camera isn't nothing you need to do a better film. So, but anyways, I bought that camera. It was a Sony f65 back in the days, and it was like super expensive. But I took all my money, all my savings, and invested about 100,000 euros into the whole thing. It was like the camera. I bought a lens. I bought, of course, I didn't know back then that I need a bunch of V-mount batteries. I need a bigger tripod because this thing is heavy as, it's like, it was a big investment. But it was me, 2011, I was a happy boy. I had that camera and I thought, now I'm going to own that business. I'm going to get that jobs. But no. All I did was like shooting the same thing I shot before, just with a much more expensive camera. So my clients were a bit cheering of me because like, said, yeah, this guy now has a better camera, but sorry, we can't pay you more just because you have an expensive-ass camera. So I did the same thing, just with a camera that was 10 times as expensive as the stuff I owned before. So I knew I had to do something. So I bought a second one. No, it's a second F65. So the only job I got by owning the camera was a rental job from a German production company. They filmed for Eurovision, a 3D high frame rate stuff for Eurovision, and they rented out the camera. And I got the job because it was much more cheaper than the rental companies because there haven't been much F65s around back then. So the only thing I got was like renting out my camera, and for that crazy 3D rig, which had about 150 kilos or something. So I knew owning the camera won't give me jobs on its own. So I need to think about new techniques to get jobs that have more budget. So I did some marketing things. I had a little daughter back then and put stuff on Instagram and put stuff on Facebook and like letting my little daughter sit on the camera because it looked funny. So I thought I knew I need to think out of the box to make people recognize me as someone who wants to create on a high quality base. So back then I learned Spec and Learn, Spec and Learn. So everybody knows what specs are, right? Specs. Specs are stuff, commercials you shoot on your own. So you invest in your own, with your own money, and you shoot it, and then you just show it to people. So nobody, for example, a car commercial spec for Mercedes. You just shoot a Mercedes commercial on your own, with your own money, and then show it to other companies, to creative agencies, for example, or to other people. Just see what I can do. So you need to invest in yourself. So that's a spec. So shoot specs and learn. So, but I didn't want to shoot car commercials because I didn't want to invest in a car commercial with my own money because it's fucking expensive. That's why I did something different. I had a friend who's an artist. A little lower the volume, please. And we did an art project. So this was back 2012, I think, when he had his art is applying pigments on a big paper, letting people dance, like ballet dancers from the state opera, dance over the paper, and then you see the footprints, the traces all over the paper. So he needs to, this is his art, and he needs a film every time one of his art pieces develops. So we shot this movie in 4K back 2012 because the F65 was a true 4K camera. There wasn't too many 4K cameras back then, so we used that as a high quality art movie, basically. So because I didn't invest too much money into shooting this. So that's what I did with the art friend of mine. And then something happened I never dreamt about. I released that movie, and 2 weeks later I got a phone call from a creative from the creative agency doing Samsung, and they asked me, they saw that film, they liked it, it's 4K because Samsung is a brand investing into high quality images. Do you want to shoot something for Samsung? And I was, hell yeah, of course I want to shoot something for Samsung. And that's when everything got together and I shot this first thing for Samsung. For example, this wasn't the first thing, but it was one of the things we shot for Samsung back then. So, yeah, back then, this was one of the first jobs I did, which weren't wedding movies or like little image stuff for low regional companies. It was the first thing for an international brand. Of course, it was for Samsung Austria, but still, it was a job, and I was lucky enough to do a great job on the first jobs I got from them. I didn't have any fuck-ups, so they kept working with me, and eventually I was like recognized by different creative agencies, and they started working with me, and that led me to the second thing I learned. Working with creatives and art directors taught me the importance of creative decisions about stuff in front of the camera. And this was the moment when I recognized it's not about the camera. It's about everything that happens in front of the camera. It's about all the creative decisions. It's about locations, it's about cast, it's about art direction, it's about color coding, it's about everything. It's about directing. It's not about the camera. Great movies don't happen in the camera. They happen in front of the camera. So that's what I learned. So we exaggerated that a little when we shot this with the same creatives that do Samsung.
Wir geben immer mehr Geld für unsere Einrichtung aus. Deshalb ist es umso wichtiger, dass wir unser Zuhause gut absichern. Mit einer flexiblen Haushalt- und Eigenheimversicherung. Dann ist es auch nicht so tragisch, wenn wirklich mal was passiert. Wäre es nicht schön, wenn wir unkaputtbar wohnen könnten?
Unser Zuhause ist wertvoller denn je. Versichern Sie es jetzt auf ergofürswohnen.at. Ergo. Versichern heißt verstehen. Jetzt bei unseren Bankpartnern oder Ihrem Versicherungsvermittler.
So of course we shot that on Alexa Mini and on a Technocrane and stuff. But you could have shot that on anything. It's about the funny thing about this is like the whole room turning and everything. Yeah, it's the creative concept especially. So I shot that. I didn't shoot that on F65. I shot that on Alexa Mini because of the Scorpio or Technocrane and stuff like gear stuff. That led me to the third thing I learned. There isn't something like the perfect camera. Every job needs the right tool. So I had that heavy F65, and so I knew that isn't the perfect camera for every job. It might be the right camera for studio stuff, but for like run and gun stuff, that 20 kilo thing isn't the right thing. So I invested into more stuff. I bought more, and I bought that red. Everything I earned, I invested into more gear and having more opportunities and more flexibility shooting stuff I want to shoot. And I invested. It was one of the best investments in my life. I bought that small Phantom. It's the greatest thing. It's like it just shoots HD, but 1,500 frames a second, and it's so small and so funny. You can take it everywhere, and you can have it in little content shoots and just shoot super slow motion. And every client is like, "Why wasn't that possible before?" Because it's like super slow motion in a very small package. It's the greatest thing ever, and it's rather cheap compared to the big Phantoms. But speaking of rather cheap, I made the biggest investment in life buying cover lenses, and then at some point I recognized that it isn't the sensor, it isn't the camera, it's the lens. So basically nice lenses make nice images. I bought anamorphics. I shot a lot of music videos anamorphic. I shot and all that. And then I learned shooting everything anamorphic makes anamorphic look rather not so distinctive. So I love shooting spherical again because I shot too much anamorphic. So it needs to be a mix. But that led me to the fourth thing I learned. The shot is more important than the gear. And this is something that people talk about all the time. What is more important, shot or gear? We are at the venue where like you see gear all over the place, but my feeling is, so that's my subjective opinion, the shot is much more important than the gear. And to show that, I released a video clip that went viral on Instagram and Facebook, on social media. There were even blog posts discussing this clip. Actually, this was me. Chances are good you saw that before, because I did a sum a couple of months ago. I think over 1 million people saw that. It's crazy because it was reposted all over the place, and so many people thought. So many people thought this is fake because why is a second camera rolling on this? I can tell you right now. I can assure you this wasn't fake. It was me holding the camera. It was me doing this. My editor and good friend of mine who shot that rolled on me doing this because I did it 3 times before, and he saw it's close every time. He might roll on this because something might happen, and he was right. It happened. So that's why a second camera was rolling on it, because it was a two operator shoot. So, this was the first thing people asked about. And the second thing people asked about was like, what's more important? Is the shot? The shot isn't too great. I think it even didn't land in the edit. Is it okay to put your equipment into this danger just for that shot? And I think yes. Everything is more important than gear. It's about the shot. And if the shot isn't that great and the camera gets broken, of course this is expensive stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I think trying it, because it might have worked out, is totally fine. Which led me to another thing that also went viral on Instagram, was this. This is me hanging on the crane. And I put that on Instagram. It's also about 1 million views on that. And people the comments on Instagram are great. It was like, fucking idiot, he doesn't know how to operate a remote head and stuff. It wasn't like that. Now I can tell everybody why I did it this way. And people keep looking at it because it's a loop, and after several minutes they recognize it's a loop. It's looping. So I did it because for this shot we had a half an hour to shoot it in our shooting schedule. So I knew, because our swimmer wasn't a stunt swimmer, so I knew when we shoot with a remote head, with a hot head, it's impossible to synchronize the movements of the swimmer and the crane. So I knew I need to, because we just have half an hour, I need to be able to adjust for the swimmer. So that's why I wanted a shaky look anyways. So that's why I put myself on the crane, and that's why that was perfectly out, because I can adjust to the speed of the swimmer by moving my hand back and forth. So yeah, people never would have done it because it's risky. You can drop the camera. I shot it with the red as well. But yeah, it worked out perfectly and got me some Instagram fame. Because of stuff like this, creative agencies recognized my commitment, and I got more and more jobs. So basically I had 60 days of shooting this summer. It was crazy because I just creative agency in Austria recognized on my production companies, this guy is crazy, we want to work with him. So we shot, I just get going quick. You can look up my website, you can see all the stuff I shot. Big commercial like this Verbund now, it's out, we shot in the LF, it's a great camera. But long story short, a lot of stuff I shot. And that led me to the 5th thing I learned. It's keep challenging yourself and keep learning. I shot all of these commercials, and it's pretty big commercials sometimes. It's like 200, 300K of budget. But there's still so much I can improve and still so much I can learn. I don't have time on a commercial set to do it. So basically, I want to keep learning, I want to keep improving, and the only way to do it is going back to the first place where I've been, Spec and Learn. Shoot specs, shoot stuff on your own, shoot something for your own creativity, and try to improve yourself. And that led me to something I want to shoot. The last clip I want to show you, it's something I shot with a director friend of mine. We shot it for A6, and I am very proud of it because it was super low budget. We did it for, I think, 3,000 euros in a total, and we just shot it for ourselves. We didn't even give it to the brand we shot it for. We shot it half a year ago, and it's one of the best experiences I had in my life, just shooting something just for our own. Yeah, we've been so happy that we did this on our own. We didn't even give it to ASICs because they didn't deserve it. So this is just like I didn't even release it. So the director released it, and it was featured on Shots, and we got international fame for this because it's a spec. But I didn't release it for myself because I'm not too happy with the grading. The director did it with Ari in München, so I want to regrade it and recut. But I'm going to release it some point, and this is my little baby, and I'm so proud of it that we did something, not because it's so great or something, just because it's for myself. So people ask me, how do you, because I did these workshops for like young people all the time, for example, for A1, and people ask me, how do you come to that point that you have this commitment or passion for this, what you're doing? I started out when I was young. I wanted to be a professional tennis player, and I was playing all the time, 6 times a week, just tennis all the time. I trained tennis all the time, and I trained with a lot of Russians, and they were super committed. And I lost to one of these training partners in a match, and he told me, Christoph, you have a problem. You don't look at the ball right. You need to focus more on the ball. Let me give you a tip. Every night I go to sleep, I lay in bed, and I look at the tennis ball for an hour until I fall asleep. And then the next day, everything that's yellow is super prominent in your eyes. I was like, you're lying in your bed and watching a tennis ball until you fall asleep? That's crazy. And I thought about it. Is this something I want for my life, for being a professional tennis player? Laying in bed and watching a tennis ball? No, it's not something I wanted. I don't have the commitment. I don't have so much passion for this thing that I'm lying in bed and it's just like watching a tennis ball all the time. It's not something I want to do. But playing with the gear, being creative, shooting stuff, trying new things with the cameras, taking out the lens from the body, putting a camera somewhere, flying with FPV drones right now, like playing with that stuff all the time is something I feel super committed about, and I don't have I would give everything for creative images, for like trying out new styles, evolving the stuff. I do. So that's my passion, that's my commitment. So to sum it up, 5 things I learned. First, owning a camera lets you improve your skills. So it doesn't matter what camera you have, just owning a camera is very important, I think. Benefit from skilled people you work with, creative people, fellow DPs, anything. That's the second thing I learned. Third, there isn't one perfect camera. There is not something that's a perfect camera for every job. There is not something like this. It might be a different camera for a FPV shoot, for a POV shoot. It might be a different camera for a high-end green screen studio shoot. There's not one perfect camera. There isn't something like this. Fourth, the shot. I think that's very subjective. The shot is more important than the gear. If you have an idea for a shot and the camera is in danger, just go for it. The shot is more important. Fifth, keep learning, keep improving. Always try to improve your skills. And even if you think especially when you think you're there where you wanted to be. I always wanted to be a DP for TV commercials. I'm there. I still, especially now, I think I need to improve. I need to find new ways of doing things. I need to see how other DPs do it. Never stop improving. That's the most important thing I can give you. If you want to see what I shoot, that's my website. Just look it up. That's our production website. And also on Instagram, all these viral clips are on Instagram. Just look at it. It's very funny clips, me smacking on an AC. It's very funny, but wasn't hurt. And yeah, any questions? That's it. Bitte.
What happened to the other tennis player with the ball? Where is he now?
Tennis trainer.
Is he professional?
No. Nobody of the guys I trained with made it to, I think, above 500 ATP. So, coaches.
So you went further?
You can, yeah. I don't know if I could tell, if I could say I went further. I did something different. So, I'm not shooting the next Bond. So, it's still a very regional DP doing stuff in Austria. But yeah, it's a different thing. Any more questions? So then, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Christoph. Very cool. So yeah, I think we should do this once a year, see what changes. see how many cameras you crash in a year. So that could be a competition. So what was the camera insured on that bowling thing?
So the funny thing is, something very interesting. Two things broke on that. I need to show that clip again, because this here, where is it?
Well, my heart broke when I saw it.
Yeah. When you watch this again, two things broke. It was the first thing that broke. That was the most expensive thing. Was the bowling ball. It was chipped because if you watch it closely, you can do it online. The bowling ball just hit the bottom of the camera. So it wasn't the lens, it was just the bottom of the camera. So the bottom of the camera, that was a Red Dragon back then, it's very sturdy. And the bowling ball chipped, so they had to throw away the bowling ball. I think it's €100. It's pretty expensive. So that's the most expensive thing that broke. And the second thing that broke, that was a Nikon lens with on an EF mount. So I had an adapter, a €25 adapter between Nikon and Canon. And that broke. Everything else was fine. So doesn't look like it.
All right. Thank you, Christoph.
Thank you.
Very cool. We'll put this up on our site as well. And next up is Philip Bloom with the Fujinon MKs and shooting on the Pocket 4K and other cameras with these lenses. Stay tuned for our stream, and thanks for watching.